go. Up, all the way up, go. Hey everybody, welcome to the Ronline Report. Today's guest, you obviously know this guy. He is your three-time and reigning Classic Physique Olympia champion, formerly from Canada, now living in the great, I call it a nation, Florida. It's a country all its own. Please
Pretty
welcome
much a nation.
Chris Bumstead. How are you, Chris?
Good to see you again, Ron.
Yeah, it's been a while. I think 2018 or 19 was our last interview.
Yeah, it has been a minute.
Yeah, I tried to interview at the Olympia last year, but it was like it was a line for the Pope or something. It was crazy.
It was hectic. Yeah, I could barely get out of there myself.
I remember you were looked like you were living on fumes by the end of that. You were, but let's get into it. I want to start way back then at that Olympia because I haven't obviously talked to you since then. So I remember when people were talking about your win, they said, well, Chris didn't look as good as he did last year. But I'm wondering, did you really not look as good, or were people just so wowed by the improvements that you had made from 2019 to 2020 that they were expecting another big leap like that again? What do you think?
I think it might have been a little bit of both, honestly. Obviously, I'm my own biggest critic, but I came into that off season, into that prep, throughout that prep looking way better than I had in previous years, even compared to 2020. And in the very end, my body wasn't really responding how I wanted. There was a little extra stress I didn't want, and I had to kind of push my body harder than I would have liked. And then peaking that week, just like, your body responds differently every time. My body's been consistent up until last year, where normally I pull water really hard, keep sodium low, and I still stay really full. Last year didn't work. I was flushing water because I was really healthy last year as well. I was pushing everything through me and did the same kind of things, and I felt like I was a lot flatter on stage. And I was pushing so hard in the last few weeks with no refeeds or anything. I think my body kind of like shut down into being a little just like sunken in to a point where food couldn't even fill me back out, even though I didn't eat enough food. Yeah. So I personally believe, this is me just analyzing it, but I personally believe that I didn't look relatively as good during the prep as good as I should have.
Okay.
So, I mean, I like to say I didn't look as good at 2020 in terms of just what my potential was.
Yeah.
But in terms of actual look, I think it was a very similar look. Yeah. But it also drives me knowing I can look a lot better this year if I nail it properly and do my things right.
So how many weeks are we out now? You must know.
13 this Saturday.
Wow, that's coming quick. So the last year, I know back and arms were always the focus. Has that still been the focus this past year of training, or have there been other areas you wanted to bring up too?
It's still been a focus for sure. I think I brought back a little more emphasis on my legs, trying to get a bigger quad sweep, which I had like crazy when I was younger. And then they were honestly almost overwhelming because my upper body hasn't caught up. And then my upper body caught up, and I think my legs kind of hurt a little bit because I had knee issues for a while. But now I'm healthy, feeling good. So I'm bringing my quads up, and my legs are bigger than they were last year for sure. And still bringing up my arms and back, like you said. And really overall this year, more perfecting like the conditioning and the look and the peak in the end. And once I nail that, I think it'll be good to go.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be a different year because you heighted. I think that's a real verb, heighted. You heighted in, you grew. So you're now officially over. You were 6 foot before, and now they got you a little over 6 foot. So would it go from 222 to 230? Is it extra 8 pounds you can come in at now?
No, it's actually, I always played it really safe. So every 1 year I was like, someone heighted me in at 6 foot and 7'8", and then 1 year. But the year before that and 2 years after, I was 6'1.5" about.
Wow.
So just like 1 year was a little bit different. And because of that, I was a little like anxious and always playing it really safe, being like, okay, well, what if I height in an inch shorter or a half inch shorter this year and I don't make weight? So I always played it really safe, keeping it under. And then finally, after like, I don't know, 3 times or whatever, I looked at them. I'm like, look, I'm 6'1.5" right now. I was last year. Can you just like tell me I'm going to be next year? And they're like, it depends what you height in next year. I'm like, great. Well, like that's very helpful. But I risked it. I was like, screw it. I go to a chiropractor, make sure my back's cracked when I go up there and stretch myself out as much as possible. But my height is 6'1.5", and it always has been. So last year I just said, fuck it. I'm going to pretend like I am and come in that heavy. So my weight cap's actually 240.
Oh, wow. 240. Well, yeah. So was it 230 before then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
I was I was really 231, 230 in 2019
Yeah.
or 229, I guess, officially. And then in 2020, I was 234, 235-ish. And then last year, I was like 237,
Oh,
238.
okay. All right. So you don't have a tremendous amount of weight to play with. It's not like you can come in 10, 15 pounds heavier.
No, but I didn't try and make weight hard either last year. Like I was drinking water. I had a little bit of food that day. I wasn't like killing myself like some people do.
Yeah.
So, but I'd rather come in smooth than too big and have to force myself down to make weight because you never look good when you do that.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder how long this is going to go on with the heights and weights. Probably forever, but because we had that whole incident where we have guys now that are using inversion tables trying to get taller. We saw what happened with Horse MD. He ended up thought he was going to be taller than he normally was. Ended up being like 7 or 8 pounds over. Do you think they'll ever get rid of the height and weight and just go by the look of the physique for Classic?
I have no idea, and I really don't really dive into the thoughts because I can't control it. But I do think it would be smart if they at least gave you like a card or wrote it down somewhere where it was like your stat. This is how tall you are, and like that's what you know. So you don't have to worry if it changes next year or if you have less water in your heels, so you're a little shorter or something. Like I don't know how it works.
Yeah, I mean, I've had that discussion with so many guys in Classic. They said just get our heights and put it in a database because it's not, we're adults. We're done growing. Eventually we all get shorter. I hate to break it to you guys out there, but you're all going to get a little bit shorter as time goes by. But
hopefully I retire by then.
we'll get to that later. Were you surprised at how well the rookies did last year? I'm thinking especially of Urs and Ramon, because 5 months before that Olympia, I never heard of these guys ever. Had no idea who they were. And then I don't know if you had been known of them either prior to a few months before the Olympia. And then boom, they're both in the top 5.
I mean, I guess surprise is a word you could use. I didn't know like you, I didn't know who they were really going in. I really keep in my own lane a lot lately, and it keeps my head right in terms of like staying on track of what I need to do for myself. So I didn't even really know who they were coming in either. But like knowing them now, it doesn't surprise me at all. They're both great athletes and good people and work really hard and crazy genetics. And the beauty of Classic Physique is that anybody can kind of come in out of nowhere because the weight cap is there's a weight cap. So like it's not like you're an open guy where it takes like 10 years to get to 300 pounds and you see yourself coming up. It's like you could, have a great off season. Like look at the change I did from 2019 to 2020. Someone does that, you go from amateur pro card to the Olympia in a year, which also how I got there so quick. So it's a division that's exciting where like it could happen again this year. Someone could come out of nowhere and replace those two. They came out of nowhere last year. So I think it makes the division very exciting. It surprised me, but I don't think that's going to happen. They're both great athletes, and I know they've improved. I think they're going to be pushing it for a while, but it's just, I think it's something that makes this division exciting is that people can come out of nowhere.
Yeah, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, are there almost like 50 guys qualified for the Olympia now in your division?
I heard that. Yeah, I just heard that somewhere, and I'm like, it's going to be a long night or day, whatever.
Yeah, if you win a show, they have to let you in, I think. I don't think they can say, nah, you can't. There's too many guys. You're not that good. They're going to have to let everybody, they got to let them all compete. So
yeah,
it's going to be a long.
I like the idea of putting a cap on that.
Yes.
And I mean, business side of things too. It costs a lot of money for them to fly people in, to pay for their hotel. Like they pay for us, the athletes, to come. So if they're paying for 500 people instead of 100, it's a lot more money for them to spend, which could be going back into promotion or paying the athletes even or anything. So I think, and it also makes it more exclusive and elite, Like if only 15 people get it to Olympia, it's more impressive and harder to do.
Yeah. So next question here is for the Rough Diesel fans out there, because, I got to keep everybody happy. So he's been runner-up 2 twice in a row now. And a lot of people say, well, he probably can never win because the gold standard that they want is this tall guy with a wide frame. And that's you basically, you're the standard bearer for the division. And Terrence has got a phenomenal physique, but he is significantly shorter than you, significantly less wide than you. If you were a judge, I mean, and it's hard to put yourself in those shoes, I know, but when you're looking at different physiques, Classic, I think, is a lot harder to judge because you have so many different physiques. What would your criteria be?
Like, how would I judge?
Yeah.
Olympia? I mean, if I was judging Olympia, I'd probably make myself win, but I'm a little biased. But I mean, no, Terrence has obviously proven himself. Everyone he beats is taller than him. I think he's the shortest guy in the lineup. So to say that he's not winning because he's short, I don't think maybe it adds into it for sure. But I mean, he's beating everyone else who's taller than him, so it's not the only factor, of course. There's a lot more that comes into it. Terrence is an awesome athlete. I think anyone every year has a chance to win. If I choose to slip or if I don't come in, they come in great, like possibility, but I don't think it's going to happen.
No, I mean, at your level, you guys don't slip up typically. That's
No.
why you are where you are. Hope you're not hearing all that lawn cutting. Geez. So Classic is still growing. I thought it was going to slow down at some point, and maybe eventually it will, but since it started in 2016, the numbers at every level, the amateur shows, the pro shows, they've been booming. Why do you think the division has such an appeal? Because I haven't talked to anyone under 30, maybe a couple guys over the last couple of years that want to do anything but Classic. They don't talk about men's physique, open, nothing. It's Classic, Classic, Classic.
I mean, I think it's just a bit of the best of every world, like men's physique is a little too small for people, or they want to show their legs, or they want to hit like actual bodybuilding poses. Bodybuilding's too difficult, too big, too like freaky. It takes whatever, too much. There's too much more risk with that and everything. Whereas Classics just floats in the middle. It's, of course, there's still a risk with that, but it's a little more healthy for your body to not be 300 pounds. You get to hit the poses. It's more like an art form to it with the posing and the aesthetics. And on top of that, it's more appealing to the eye. I think bodybuilding will always be the face of the Olympia coming in, but like Classic Physique is just like more of a beautiful thing to look at. It's more like appealing to the eye, in my opinion. So it's hard to say. I think there's a lot of amazing athletes too, who are coming up and doing a great job as ambassadors of the sport. A lot of the guys in Classic actually have YouTube channels, certain businesses. Myself is one trying to do that, and we're kind of like showing the new generation, which I believe our new generation is very passionate about doing their own thing, not having a boss, not working for the man, and like chasing their dreams and like all that stuff. And that world is social media right now. That's what's running the world. So like, who's ever doing that at the top of the sport, if they're benefiting from it and everything else, the young kids see that and they think it all ties together, so they can come in and join that. And it's not just about eat, sleep, train anymore. It's like how you're living your life. What are you doing with it on the outside? Are you running your social media properly? Are you benefiting from it while you're in it? Like, there's a lot more going on now, and I think people are more excited to do all aspects of that world rather than just eat, sleep, train, like some bodybuilders are kind of more stereotyped to do.
Yeah, and I think the social media thing, like you said, I think that plays a big role in it, because that's the young people's thing now. So they're all on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and probably other things I don't even know about. But the complaint with Rami was, well, this guy was quiet. We didn't hear a damn thing from him for months and months and months. Now that he's with Dennis James, we're seeing videos every day and pictures every day. But you're on there every day. Your channel does tremendously well, and you put out awesome content all the time, like at least one good video a week, sometimes 2 or 3, where these guys really feel like they know you. They have a look into your lifestyle, and they're able to follow along and aspire to it. Whereas some of these other divisions, these guys, either they don't know about how to do it, or they just don't think it's important. But I really think that's been a huge key to you and the other guys at the Ruffin's got a great channel too. A lot of you guys, that's how you're really getting the youth into the sport, into Classic, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess that wasn't a question, it was more of a statement. But so here's a question for you. Are you surprised to see so many guys from other divisions? We got men's physique guys moving to Classic, 212 guys, and even open guys moving to Classic. So there's something about Classic that's appealing even to them more so than the divisions they were already in. Did you kind of see this coming, or were you like, this is weird?
I mean, I'm someone who did it myself. I was an open guy who moved to Classic. So, I'm just like, I'm right there with you, boys. Like, I totally agree with the decision. I did it because the class felt more suited to me and my physique. It was a look that I was like excited to chase and perfect, more so than bodybuilding look was. So, I mean, no, of course, as doing it myself, I understand why.
Yeah. So back to the social media thing one last time. You are the most popular, and you sort of deflected this and said it doesn't make you cool, but 10 million followers alone on Instagram. I think on all platforms combined, you're at like 15 million followers. That's almost like Kardashian numbers right there, dude. That's pretty damn great.
Not quite.
Yeah, I know. But like I said, do you think that having that presence on social media gives you more of a connection to the young guys? And that's why a lot of these young guys are, they're huge Chris Bumstead fans, they're huge Classic Physique fans. I mean, I went to the Boston Pro earlier this year, and I've never seen so many people in an audience that I could tell just by who they were rooting for, what they were. they were there for Classic. They were there for Urs and the other Classic guys more so than the Open. Do you think it's social media and the fact that you guys have such a strong presence on it?
I think it definitely helps because, of course, it's all, I think focusing on the younger generation is always very important in terms of our society, in terms of sports and culture and stuff. Like that's the backbone of everything is the younger generation. So if right now with what everything is in them, then what's driving forces of that generation is social media, then of course that's where they're going to look to, and who's ever succeeding on that and growing on that is who they're going to look to and get inspired from and be motivated by. So I think a lot of Classic Physique guys, like you said, are doing a great job at displaying more of the journey. People just love to be a part of your story. Like people just love that, you know, like I'm doing something that I absolutely love and I'm grateful to just be in every single day. Win or lose, I just love what I do and I'm just sharing that journey. And people feel that passion from me and that like excitement that I have, the shit days I have sometimes, they just love seeing that. They're like, fuck, this is awesome. Like this is how I feel when I go to work. I might not be winning Olympias, but like some days I go crush my job. Some days I feel like shit, but I'm still in there every day. And like, but like they watch me because they're more excited about what I'm doing. And like, I think it's just a beautiful thing that social media has allowed us to connect like that, and people love it, and it's kind of helped grow the sport and the whole world within it.
Yeah, I think a lot of what your appeal is your honesty. Like you do, I watch most of your videos, and you do have days where you're not feeling great about training or the diet or whatever, and you tell people, and it's not this fake, highlight reel that a lot of people put out on their Instagram and their YouTube channels where everything's great and I'm always on top of the world. Nobody, I think that bothers people because they're like, man, sometimes I don't feel like going to the gym, or sometimes I don't want to be dieting anymore. But this guy, he's a robot. He's an animal. You show your human side. I think that definitely connects with a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think something I struggled with at the beginning was thinking that like the mind of a champion or a bodybuilder, it was like you're hardcore, you show no weakness, big tough man, like all that shit. And that's not who I am to my core. I'm a lot more of a sentient being. I have I'm more emotional than that, like I have shitty days and I want to be honest. I don't want to pretend to be something I'm not. And if I had, I probably wouldn't have lasted on social media because I would have felt fake. But I think coming into my own and being confident that like my success has come from being who I am, and that through my weakness and through sharing that people can connect, and I'm still going to do my best and show up every day and crush this shit and come and win Olympias. But I'm still going to talk about one of like those days if I have a horrible day and I want to quit or feels tough, like whatever it means. So I definitely think people respect that realness, and it, like you said, doesn't create that like gap between like, oh my God, I can't even relate to this person. It's cool what they're doing, but like I could never do that, Whereas I'm like, when people see me struggling, like, holy shit, like maybe it is more attainable because like when I feel like shit and he does too, then we just keep going. So I can't explain it, but I'm just trying to be as real as possible and share my journey as authentically as I can.
Yeah, I'm trying not to come out and say, why do you think you're so popular? That's a ridiculous question. I also want to point out that's the first time in over 500 of these Ronlines anyone used the word sentient. So props to you.
There you
go. Here's one. You've really come out categorically saying, Classic is where I'm staying. I don't want to go to Open. No desire, no interest yet. Every day I see somebody posting, oh, Chris should go Open, or when's he going to go Open? They still want you, or they expect you to. Why can't they just be happy that you're the greatest Classic Physique competitor in the world, and this is the physique that you have? Why do they want you to be 250, 280, 300 pounds?
I mean, people are always going to want more and want different and get bored of what's been there, So they see a great physique and they're like, well, what would that look like being more? And I'd be lying if I hadn't thought what my physique would look like with like 40 more pounds on it of muscle. It I might blow up my waist and not look good, or it might look crazy. Like, so of course I'm curious about it as well. But I think internet banter is just internet banter, and people like to talk about what they like to talk about. But I think they're still excited about Classic, and, going off on random conspiracy theories and tangents is something that people love to do lately. So why not make me a part of one of them?
Yeah, I mean, this is even people I know should know better that I talk to. They're like, Chris is going to go Open next year. I'm like, no, he's not. He said it so many times. Like, okay, trust me, he'll get the invite. He's going. I'm like, no. You're just wishful thinking. We have enough guys in the Open. Classic is here. Open's here. Just let him be the best Classic. Let these guys do that. I don't know why they won't leave you alone. But let's switch subjects to moving. How long have you been in Florida now?
Been about exactly a year now.
Okay. So what do you like more about Florida? And is there anything you miss about Canada?
I would say I miss my family and friends and people. in Canada, like childhood friends. My parents are still there. Melissa and Ian have been down here with me, luckily, but I'm not sure if they're going to stay. So it's been mainly that. But other than that, like my life's a lot different down here. I came down to be a partner in the Raw, in my supplement company, Raw, and everything. And business has been like a huge part of my life down here and learning that aspect. Like I'm in an office now instead of sitting at home and like sleeping all day. So like life has changed and it's been beautiful. And I'm like, it's exciting to have like a more routine and structure going on. So I think I would have never moved if it was just for the fun of it, because I wouldn't have left my family. Like, ooh, let's just try something new. I think I needed something set in stone. And I came down here and I already had a great group of friends. I've made more friends and I work with great people. So I think just having so much stuff to do and so much stuff to be excited and grateful for down here has made me just love it. And I can visit my family, they come and visit me. And of course, being from Canada, they're excited to visit Florida in the winter. So that's always a nice excuse to get away from the snow. But other than that, it's great. It's hot as hell. I am not used to the heat. It could be midnight and it's like 90 degrees outside and you don't even want to walk the dog. So that's brutal. But I mean, I think it's better than 5 feet of snow in the driveway. So I can't complain.
I have that debate all the time, Chris, because I'm in Boston. The weather's very similar to Toronto, and my daughter's in Florida. And every time I go there in the warmer months, I'm like, nah, I'll shovel snow. This is, I can't stand it. Let's talk a little bit about Raw Revive. How did that even happen? How did you become part of the company? Part owner now.
Yeah, so I've been an athlete under Revive since they started. I was one of the first ones with them when they launched the company because I'm good friends with Matt Jansen and Dom Acavone, the two owners of that. And when they were starting a supplement company, they was kind of talking about bringing me on, and I was stuck in not stuck. I was happily with another company at the time, and then the kind of time went by, and then the opportunity came back, and they're like, "Hey, we want to bring you on as like a partner, as an owner. We want you to come in and like do what you want with this. You can create your own CBUM line in here and do all like be actually a part of the business." And obviously, as I was speaking about, like a lot of kids are in entrepreneurship, myself included, bodybuilding isn't forever. And I knew I wanted to set myself up into something long term. And when I retire, have something to fall back on and to be passionate about. So it seemed like the perfect lining up as the stars, where like I can come in, start to learn this now with the help of my two partners. And it's just been great ever since doing, we got an awesome team down here, like I said, and the stuff I've been learning now is invaluable. And as a man and as a business owner, it's been just a great learning curve and a lot of fun.
Yeah. So is your line already out? I know I should know this. I probably should have done a little more research. Is your CBUM line already out?
Yeah, we launched it last October, just before the Olympia. So it's been out almost a year now.
Wow, I'm way behind. Yeah. So did you when they came up with the proposition, let's have your own line, did you think to yourself, these are some products that I really wish existed that don't exist, and I'm gonna bring these to market? How involved were you with the product development?
I was pretty well involved. We have obviously a lot smarter minds than mine that were like really getting to the nitty gritty of supplements and dosing and all that kind of stuff, because as much as I love things and I experiment with it, I'm not the smartest guy out there to be making it. So I was very involved in it, not doing it all by myself. But it was, yeah, I mean, we're not, people have been in this industry long enough now. There's no secret products that are going to come out and be like game changing, but just wanted to make it very high quality, taste great, and like something that I genuinely want to take every day, and I believe is going to exceed my performance in a manner that's going to help me win more Olympias. And we did exactly that, and we have a lot of fun with the branding and the marketing behind it, which is something I'm also become passionate about. So I think just bringing that all together is what we've been chasing after.
Yeah. Yes, I should have known that. It was almost a year ago. Damn, I'm late to the party. But here's one. You talked a couple of years ago about, I think it was when you were really going through the health problems, which was like 2019, I think. 2019 Olympia, right before
18 was the rough one.
18, that was a rough one. So at that time, I think you talked about, I'm gonna retire by 30. Definitely don't want to be doing it that much longer. But you've got a good handle on your health now. You got 3 titles already. You're still only 27. Do you still think I'm going to retire by this or with this many wins, or are you just taking it year by year now?
I'm taking it more year by year now for sure. I think it was a little foolish to think that I could predict the future of when I would be ready to be done and just like pick a day and that would be okay, I'm good now. Yeah. I think it's more something now where I'm like genuinely like, my answer is always, I want one more Olympia. And people are like, oh, so you're done this year? I'm like, no, I just want one more. And then depending how this year goes, how I feel mentally, physically afterwards, if I'm excited and hungry for more, I'm going to do another one. If not, I won't. And I mean, having that kind of detachment that I don't have to do it has like allowed me to fall into more of a mindset where I get to compete and I'm more excited to. And it's just like something that I am like grateful to receive instead of something I have to do. I have to get more Olympias. I have to be a 5-time, 6-time, I'm just like, I get one more year at least. I'm going to give my all. Depending on that, I might get another one, and I'm just going from there and enjoying it as I'm in it.
Yeah, you seem to have really had I don't think you were ever like a negative guy in the first place anyway, but you seem to have a real mindset shift in the past year or so. I just saw one of your short videos on the channel, Chris Bumstead, where you talked about dieting. You don't really have the same mental struggles with dieting because now you feel like you choose to eat healthy food and you're not, I can't eat this, I can't eat that. And it's, has you done this all on your own? Have you read self-help books or therapists? Has there been anything else, or is this just part of growing and maturing as a person, you think?
I mean, I think it's definitely a lot. I think if you're like competing at the level I am with the level of things coming into your life, if you're not focusing on your mental health and your mind and the way you think about things and getting to know yourself on a level at which best you operate, then you're going to fall apart and you're just silly not to focus on that. So I've definitely, I listen to podcasts, read books. I do have a therapist as well who I talk with just to kind of help me like dive into my mind a little deeper and better get to know myself and the way I'd like to operate in this world. And it's definitely helped me a lot. And I'm always been a very inquisitive person and like just like put my mind where I want it to be as best as I can. And it's always been a kind of a focus of mine. So last few years have just been something where so much coming into my life, I put a lot of focus on that. So I'm able to handle it, keep a good head on my shoulder through it all and kind of stay who I am. And it's paid off. I feel better than ever. And like you said, I'm not trying to really attach to anything. And the more you try and like tell yourself you can't do something or you have to, like you fight that more rather than just like flowing with what's going to come to you in life and making the best of whatever it is.
Yeah, man, you're wise, but sometimes I find it hard to believe you're as young as you are because I'm 53 and I know guys my age I talk to who are not, they're not where you're at yet. So good, you're doing well. We're gonna
I've
go
lived a
back
lot
to
of life, so
yeah, you've accomplished a lot already. But let's go back to the one thing I want to ask you about was the weight limits, because a lot of these guys in Classic, they're always pushing to have the weight limits raised. They want to bump and increase. It's already been raised twice since the division began. I think it was a 5-pound, another 5-pound. Do you think it needs to be raised higher? I mean, there's all these guys that say, well, I have to come in at 180. I'd look so much better if I could be like 187. But what do you say when these guys are always asking for bumps and increases in the weight?
I don't really get involved with any of that stuff. I don't really pay attention. I didn't even know a lot of people were saying that, honestly.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, my biased opinion is like it's been working for me now, so why would I want to change it? I fit in mine just perfectly, and that benefits me. But I mean, I don't think a weight cap is really going to change too much. I think they want to keep the look as it is, and maybe one day they'll get rid of it completely, and once the look is really established. But I do worry if that happens, it's just going to start pushing the limits of size again. Like, it happens in every division. Like
Yes.
figure now compared to Nicole Wilkins or bikini now compared to even my girlfriend, Courtney King back in the day has changed. And that's only like 5-6 years or whatever. So like, it's always going to, people are always going to push the limits unless there's a restraint.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of helping right now, but I'm not to say where it's going to go after that.
I mean, look at the men's physique guys.
Yeah, the men's together huge.
Some of them look like open bodybuilders.
Literally, yeah.
No, I agree with you. I think if they increased, anytime these guys, and I've had arguments with them, I said, why don't you just go open or 212? If you really just want to keep growing and growing, stop competing in a division that has a weight cap that you don't like. Simple as that. I mean, I don't want to see them get any bigger. I like the idea of a certain constraint so that these guys keep the waist tiny, the conditioning is always there. The bigger we see it in the open, a lot of the guys, they lose the lines, they lose the condition once they get to a certain size. So
yeah, and I might be wrong, but I would assume, and I'm making an assumption here, that it's mainly the shorter guys who are saying that.
yes,
Because most of the taller guys are like myself, like you said, if a lot of the shorter guys are feeling because of the comments that they're losing because they're shorter, they might be compensating by, well, if I'm bigger, then I'll be able to push those limits a little easier.
yeah.
But when you look at athletes like Breon or Terrence, some of the a little bit shorter guys in there, their frames are packed full of muscle. I can barely imagine Terrence with more muscle on that frame and not looking like a 212 guy. So it's maybe their opinions differ, but like to me that they're frames look more stacked with muscle than mine does currently. So it's hard to say.
So what was harder? Was winning the first Olympia harder, or has defending it been harder, both in terms of motivation and prep and things like that, and just the fact that you were the hungry challenger and now you're the guy you got the target on your back now?
I would say, I mean, every year comes up with its own difficulties and challenges in life itself that kind of play into bodybuilding, obviously. But I think in terms of like mindset and just staying focused, it's harder to maintain the top position rather than get it, because it's just exciting. You're trying to get something new, and I don't know, people like chase new cars or new shirt, new outfits, like, and then you get it and you're gonna, oh, I got it, And I think it's hard sometimes. People don't understand the feeling of like that chase is like everything you're working for. It's this dopamine rush, you're getting excited, and as soon as you get it, it's this huge rush of this win, the success, and then afterwards you're just like, it's over, like it's done now. And then it's almost like, what was that all worth it? And it's kind of like a reset, building that back up and then back down. And every year after the Olympia, I kind of get like a mild Olympia blues, not like horrible, but like it's this huge dopamine rush, and you have a limited amount of dopamine in your brain to release. But afterwards, being able to maintain that and being like, holy shit, like I've got to go through all that again, and just for what, a fourth time, a fifth time, like what do these numbers matter? Sometimes that have raced through my mind post Olympia, but every year so far I've gotten back to being like, fuck that, I want more. I'm hungry. I could do more. I could do this all day. I could do this all year. This is easy. So right now it hasn't beat me, and like I said, that's why I'm taking it 1 year at a time. But it's definitely, it's a more of a mental challenge, and people understand, I think, to continuously stay on top and keep doing things. And when there's a lot of outside noise coming in constantly, the eyes are on you, expectations are on you. It can change things for sure. And that's why another main reason I focus so much on my mindset towards competing is because if I can just train as hard as I can and eat good, what the fuck does it matter if I'm coming after a fourth title or a first one, or a pro card or whatever it is? Like, I'm doing the same shit since I've been doing since I was a little kid, and I've loved it since then. So why not keep doing it to the best of my ability and learning new ways to do it better? So just kind of to wrap in that all in.
True. Yeah. And another aspect to it is, before you were a champion, I don't think people weren't that critical of you, because only once you get to the top, now they're, oh, these are his flaws, and I don't like this and that, or I'm coming after him, and then you hear like, they compare people to you, like Urs, they compared you, and there's a Brazilian guy I just heard they call the Brazilian Bumstead. I mean, it's got to be challenging in a way to have so many people talking about you all the time. And I'm sure you don't hear a lot of it because you're not like on social media trying to find out all the shit talking about you, but just knowing that as the champion, people are talking about you all the time, both good and bad. How do you deal with that?
I mean, I've definitely had some concrete physical things to help, like muting people on social media, not spending time on YouTube. I don't really watch like news reviews or like people talking about stuff, because it doesn't matter what someone says, good or bad about me. It doesn't matter. They don't know what I'm doing. They don't know who I am. So It doesn't really benefit me. So I've definitely tried to take that, but of course it's still going to get into my mind. I'm human, and some stuff can make me like, oh fuck, like think now this and that, but it's all part of the game. And I think I've learned to master it pretty well. And, new guys coming in, they're comparing me to them, and then it's exciting, like I still have like, it's me against me up there, but of course I still want to make it look like it's just me against me, because no one else is even comparable, because they're not good enough to even be beside me. That's my ego wanting to be like absolute best up there. I want a perfect score every single year. So it's just balancing it, not getting involved in it. And like I said before, when you know who you are, it doesn't matter what other people are saying.
Yeah. So a really positive part of that is that you become a role model. I mean, I can't only imagine the amount of messages you get every day. And I mean, I see kids at my gym with the Savage shirt, and I think I sent you a picture. There's a guy, a young kid, got the same exact tattoo as you because he was that much of a fan. It's a lion or something on your forearm, right?
Yeah.
I mean, is it a cool thing to know that you have that ability to inspire, to change, some of these, especially young men today? I don't want to knock the generation. My son's part of it, what they call Gen Z, but a lot of them don't have any real goals or focus or things to look forward to. And now at least they have something. At least a lot of these kids, they see you and say, well, Chris Bumstead's this young, successful, good-looking guy with an awesome physique. If I can emulate him, with the training, maybe start my own business or something. What's it like knowing that you're a role model and that you do have that power now to influence young men, mostly for in a positive way?
I mean, it's definitely something I don't take it lightly. You know, I don't just think like, oh, like whatever, fuck it. Like I'm very grateful for it. And it's something that I understand. Another reason why I really want to put my authentic self out there is to not give these false expectations and realities that people like are going to strive for. Because I know when you're successful, people are going to look up to you. And I think one of the most important things you are is the most important thing you have is your character. It's the only thing you're in control of. It's the only thing that you keep forever. It's who you are. And that's relieved some pressure off me because I know who I am. I'm not worried that someone's going to get a bad impression of me or think like you have to be an asshole to win or this, because I know I'm never going to act like that. That's not who I am or who I want to be. And as long as I present myself as I am, they're going to see that and they can take whatever they want from it.
Yeah.
But it's something that I'm grateful for. And I mean, I hope I'm doing a good job at it. I never really know. But like I said, all I can do is show up as my best self. And if people are going to draw inspiration from that, it's something that gives me a lot of love and gratitude in my heart that I'm able to help others and continue to do so. And hopefully the more as I expand as a human being, they can expand with me and we can all kind of grow together.
Yeah. I mean, it's to your parents' credit. They raised you very well, mom and dad. You're the same guy I met 2017 when you were just starting out. You know, you've obviously come so far in terms of competitive success, business, popularity, everything, but you haven't changed. You're the same exact Chris Bumstead. I remember, I think you were 21 or just turned 22 when I met you. So, props to you, man, because I have known people whose success has changed them greatly for the worse, usually not for the better, but you've managed to keep your head, stay humble, stay down to earth. And I honestly think that's another reason that you're so popular is people see, you don't consider yourself better than anybody. You just happen to be really good at this one thing. You're the best in the world at this one thing, but that doesn't make you better than the next guy. And I think people really do appreciate that, Chris.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's something I am proud of. So I appreciate you saying that.
Well, you've been very generous with your time. I appreciate it very much. I'd say to go follow you on Instagram. It's CBum, but everyone already knows that. So I guess we got just a little under 3 months before the big dance. So I will see you again, sir, in Las Vegas.
Yes. Sounds good. See you there.
Thanks so much, Chris. Everybody, thanks for watching Ronline Report with the man, Classic Physique Olympia champion 3 times, going for 4 soon, Chris Bumstead. We'll see you next time.